Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And with T-Mobile's quarterly earnings call almost upon us, there are some companies that are growing their position in T-Mobile, and then there's some other positive earnings previews out there that I wanted to discuss in this video. So we just got Verizon's quarterly earnings out the way, which was a big mixed bag, right? They had some growth on fixed wireless access, some growth on business, but the consumer side prepaid and they missed revenues. That was the bad part of that quarterly earnings, right? We had AT&T. Prior to that, they did a lot better. I felt they had growth, they had momentum, or they still have momentum. The fiber side is working really well. They did have a negative free cash flow, but that was largely due to them spending more capex to accelerate growth, right? So in Q2, they could potentially grow even more, and then the free cash flow could be positive again. But I get it from an investor perspective, shareholder perspective. They looked at the negative free cash flow and they immediately grew fear because they felt like maybe now AT&T will cut its dividend even more to try to gain positive free cash flow, which I don't think that will be the case at all. Their capex is gonna come down, and they're accelerating for future growth. That's going to help increase that free cash flow. But again, so Main Street Research grows position in T-Mobile. I'll leave this article from MarketBeat in the description so you guys can check it out. So let's break it down in this video. What's really causing T-Mobile to gain the success and to keep the momentum, right? And I said this before in previous videos, many of those videos, that regardless of how the market is, right? If it's a healthy growing market, T-Mobile should be the leader in growth in the future. And even if it's a time where the industry is slower in growth overall, T-Mobile should still come out ahead. And we should see that in this quarter, right? Verizon just took a loss. AT&T grew about 400,000 customers. And that's, even for AT&T, that's much lower than what they're used to growing in the last several quarters. So now if T-Mobile comes in at, 5, 6, 700,000, that is still below their growth in the fourth quarter. If you look at their fourth quarter, T-Mobile grew 967,000 customers. So well below, right? Which analysts have been predicting that the growth is going to slow down for everyone. But T-Mobile still would come out ahead. And we won't know until Thursday, right? Until they officially report numbers. But that's kind of the earnings previews that are out there. That's what's anticipated. And the market has been pretty spot on with AT&T and Verizon. So I don't expect anything different from T-Mobile. Now, T-Mobile is in a very unique position. I will admit that, right? Speaking from an objective standpoint, T-Mobile is in a unique position, right? AT&T carries about $180 billion in debt. Verizon carries about $152 billion in debt. T-Mobile's debt is like around $80 billion. I don't know the exact number, but it's far lower versus the competition. So T-Mobile has a lot of wiggle room there in terms of competing, right? They just raised pricing on their new plans. Let's call it what it is. They raised price. They didn't raise price on the legacy customers, but for new customers that are coming in, they will pay more, right? But still lower than the competition. So T-Mobile raised it by about $10 for 3 lines, right? But they still included a free line. They probably will still aggressively compete with insider discounts. They will still compete aggressively with phone promos. That's not going to change. But T-Mobile can turn it up at any time because they carry a better balance sheet. They don't have as much debt. So they got wiggle room. They got a lot of wiggle room, right? Verizon and AT&T really can't compete on pricing too much because they got to pay off that debt. So that puts T-Mobile in a very different, unique position. And the network continues to grow for T-Mobile. Now, one thing that I want to point out, and I'll share this with you guys on the channel as this progresses, but the tower or the work site that I work at is a complete remote rural area. There aren't any pops to cover at all. It's just literally the workers on the base and the military personnel. That's the only thing that this new T-Mobile site is going to serve. Verizon, AT&T already have been serving, but from a business perspective, now that this new site is being converted, some of you have seen it on Twitter. T-Mobile gains, they reap no benefit from adding that site, right? There's no return on investment. The only thing that T-Mobile is doing with that site, they're serving their already existing customers. So there's lots of people coming in and out all over the U.S. that train there, and that site is now going to serve them. So it helps T-Mobile in a way to keep churn lower. The customer won't have a negative experience going out that way anymore. So that's helping them. But that grows my confidence in T-Mobile. Like, wait a minute, you're coming all the way out here. You're adding native coverage, geographic coverage. You're not going to reap any benefit from it from a financial standpoint, right? There's no pops to grow market share from. And they're doing that with the 9 to 10 billion guided capex that they're doing for the next few years. So obviously that must be enough. That must be enough capex. Are they going to get to every inch of the country this year? Probably not. Right? There's still going to be some work in 2024. There's still going to be more work in 2025. And there's still going to be more work in 2026. But if they can get to the very important places, right? And T-Mobile knows what that is. They call it customer-focused or customer-driven coverage. They know those places. They see the customer calling in. They see the tickets. They create tickets in the system, and the customer says, hey, the service is not great here. I have no service in this building. And then the T-Mobile's team, they analyze it. They say, hey, you know what? The tower is way too far away. You're going to have very fair to weak coverage, but we're fixing it, right? Those should be the ones that they fix the most, or the fastest, I should say, especially if there's a lot of traffic moving in and out. Those are the areas that I think they should fix first, right? The ones that still have some population, like, for example, my work site, during peak months, right now is kind of the peak time, summertime, we can peak at about 25 to 3,000 population. Not too much, of course, but there's still some traffic coming in and out. And they're going to serve that base very soon. I'm hearing on air date is June 5th. So of course I'll keep you guys up to date on that, and I'll share that on the channel with pictures and stuff. But that's good to see, right? But they got more work to do. And I acknowledge that here right now. I'm acknowledging objectively T-Mobile has work to do. There are still areas, plenty of areas where Verizon and AT&T have the advantage. And for the last decade, hell, over a decade now, AT&T and Verizon have had the advantage at my work site. Verizon got there very early in LTE. 2010 they had service. AT&T was there too with HSBA. AT&T around 2015, 2016 upgraded to LTE, and then they upgraded again with FirstNet. Verizon hasn't touched that site since it first got LTE, so very outdated. They got some modernizing to do. It's coming soon, I'm hearing. But they've had that advantage. Now T-Mobile steps in, and yes, I get it. They haven't had service there all these years, but now they come in and then they present value and they're cheaper. So that's kind of a win, right? But like I said, for example, my work site, not really a lot of market share to gain there. But other areas that they're moving into, smaller towns, rural areas, they move in, they go from worst to first, right? They go N41, N71, N25, and in the future N66. They go in with great speeds, fixed wireless access. They likely will win share in those areas in a big way. They will win accounts, and that's what's causing these companies like Main Street Research to grow their position in T-Mobile. It's a proven recipe. It works. It's a proven business plan. It's a strategic business plan. It's a very conservative business plan that T-Mobile always meets and exceeds. So it's a win-win. It puts AT&T and Verizon, especially Verizon, in a very difficult position, right? AT&T, they can still maintain because they have fiber, and that fiber helps them grow wireless. But Verizon is in a tough spot, right? They grew all those fixed wireless access customers, for an example, in the Q1 quarter. Why didn't they grow wireless? What was the conversion percentage? Nobody asked. Is it just existing customers that are getting this product? Nobody's asking the right questions on these quarterly earnings calls. I listened in. It was mostly about C-band, which everyone should be aware that towards the end of this year, that clears. We get it. Or more of it clears. But nobody asked the right questions. Where's the conversion? Why, if there's a brand new fixed wireless access customer that's getting it that does not have wireless, why is that not being converted? And if they are, what's the percentage? Right? So that's they have a fundamental problem. And T-Mobile does everything better. So it's very interesting looking at it objectively. Look at the numbers and everything, and it's pointing you in the direction of T-Mobile winning in the future. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel for more. Like, share, subscribe. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Live. See y'all in the next one. Peace.